All right. Looks like we're live. I'm going to just double check on my phone here to make sure that we're on. Let's see here. Let me make sure.
There we go.
I think we are, but let's double check. All right. Looks like we're live. So good to go there. Let me just share the link to the Arizona people too. We'll just let them know. Would love to have them jump in here as well, so they can ask questions.
Oh man, Tim Talmadge ain't coming, is he? I'm just kidding.
Now, man, that's fun. I remember that's my first time seeing you, man. Is about was it 2 or 3 years ago when you did that? I think it was the 12-man round robin at his
Yeah.
event. Was that 2 or 3 years ago?
That was actually, I think that was June of last year.
Was it last year? Okay, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
That's the one that was Arson was in it, and
yeah,
that was last year. Okay, I thought it was
yeah.
longer. Yeah,
Arson
man.
Sharp, me, Craig Toulier, Dallas Langston, Brent Rockers, uh, Ryan Ballesteros,
That's right.
Michael Bedwell.
Man,
Yeah,
that's the cream of the crop. And then you came up there, started getting wins. I asked my brother, I'm like, who's this guy? Because you kind of came out of nowhere. And
yeah.
man, that was just incredible. I mean, do you enjoy those? What do you enjoy more, the super matches, tournaments, or kind of like those round robins? What do you prefer more?
Well, the super matches are somewhat new
Yeah,
for me. So I came up, in the tournament scene, and I always love a good tournament.
yeah,
It's always fun to get in there with just and be able to pull a bunch of different guys. Uh, but I mean, I like them all. That round robin was the first one, or no, that was the second one I ever did, and I've only had like maybe three super matches, and
okay.
two were at East First West.
That's amazing, man. I mean, let's get into
Yeah,
that stuff. So, just to set it up, just so you guys know, so Ryan Bellinger, he just came off a monster win against Alan Ford at East versus West 18 on Saturday. I mean, if you guys don't know, Alan Ford has 30 years experience in arm wrestling. I mean, super tough guy. I mean, he almost beat RVJ about 8 months ago. So very strong guy. And I mean, you guys had a war, and we'll go over the breakdown of that match. But just wanted to set it up for everybody. Appreciate everybody joining. And today we're gonna get to know Ryan a little bit. He's definitely. I mean, to me, that when you mention that 160 pound side pressure, I mean that's nuts. So we'll get into that. So Ryan, if you can kind of tell us, about your journey in arm wrestling. When did you get started? Who, did you see it on TV, or who got you into it?
yeah. Actually, I started pulling in 2018, and I saw arm wrestling on YouTube. And the first thing I ever saw was the Travis Bajent and Richard Lupke's match, where Travis is like, "Stand up, Rich,
Yeah, I remember that.
stand up, Biggin,"
Like a
and
penny
he ended,
stand up.
yeah, and he ended up beating him. And I was like, that dude's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. And it probably wasn't until after, yeah, it was after I think Game of Arms came on,
Yeah.
and it was after Game of Arms. I just always wanted to do it, and then yeah, yeah, I'll figure out a way how to do it, or find a tournament, and just kind of always just never did it. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I reached out on Facebook one day, and uh, they pointed me to a group in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is about an hour and a half from my house. And I went up there to a practice with Scott Clements, and I haven't stopped practicing since.
All right. So that was 7 years ago. You said.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
I think
awesome.
it'll be 7 years, and I think September. I think.
Wow. 7 years and you're already at this level. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I've since day one, man. I've nonstop been training. I haven't taken any time off. Uh, so I said from the beginning, I wanted to be the best.
yeah.
Uh, I'm sure there's some people say that, and people I was telling that were, probably rolling their eyes and stuff. But I'm pretty hard headed, and if I set my mind, to something, I can usually achieve the goal. So,
Hey, you're known as the bull.
right.
That's yeah, I think it was Todd Zilla that that said it a couple years ago that arm wrestlers, when we kind of get into it, we set our sights way too low, and like you said, you want to be the best. I think that's what motivates you, drives you, and that constant daily or 4 or 5 times a week training, it can get it can be tough. It's a grind, and remembering that, I think that's a big part of it. So man, that's great. So you saw it on TV. Did you ever like? I mean, was it when you were younger, or in high school, or with friends, like you were just arm wrestling? Like, what was your background going into it?
Yeah. So, obviously, I think we all arm wrestle at the lunch table and stuff like that, which I
Right.
always did. And um, I was always one of the strongest. I would have beat everybody my weight, but I'd lose to maybe like a 280, 300 pound guy. But but yeah, I mean, I've always kind of done it and just got into it, seriously, uh, in 2018.
Did you ever
But
do like powerlifting before then, just regular
uh,
bodybuilding, or anything competitive before arm wrestling, where you kind of came in like, for example, Joseph Moranto, he already came in with a very strong base where he was powerlifting, like his numbers were his muscle structure was already there. What's your kind of sports background?
yeah, so I played football and baseball my whole life. I was a pitcher. So naturally, I think that being a pitcher, um, comes natural side pressure,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
'Cause your shoulders are already kind of conditioned. And but I did do, obviously, weight training throughout high school, and I did do a few years of powerlifting. And it wasn't like I did a couple small competitions around South Carolina, but for the most part, I was just doing it for myself. Deadlifting, bench, and all the heavy lift or all the big three or whatever.
nice.
But
So I mean,
yeah,
so even then, you were still competitive. So that's where your competitive drive comes from. Is even at the local powerlifting. Okay, so that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, pitching. So you already came and developed shoulders, upper back, and so did you naturally gravitate towards the more of the hook side pressure? Did you try top rolling, and you just found you were more naturally strong in in the hook?
yeah. My body structure is kind of built for the hook. I'm a shorter arm guy. I'm not super tall. I'm like 5'10". Just compact. Just perfectly made to be a hook puller. But I do top roll. I have a top roll. I just ain't, I haven't really, how can I say, had the balls too much to
Yeah,
try it in
yeah.
competition. You know what I mean? But when I first went to the first practice, they were like, "Oh, you're a hook puller." You know what I mean? Just I guess they could just by my side pressure and how I was just naturally moving on the table. And I only hooked for like the first 4.5 years, never top rolled or anything. So I've recently just been working on my weaknesses, top roll rising, all that other type stuff, this past year and a half. So
Okay, got
yeah.
it. And then yeah, go ahead. What were you
Uh,
gonna say?
No, I was gonna say eventually I'll bust it out in a tournament or something.
Nice.
But
And then make sure you guys, if you're watching this, make sure you guys check out Ryan's YouTube channel. He also has one, so you just search Ryan Bull Belanger. And honestly, I've been watching pretty much, I think I'm caught up on all his videos of training. Ryan does a great job of showing you everything in detail. He's got a ton of them. So, the whole point of arm wrestling, guys, I mean, it's such a small sport that it's crucial that we got to support each other. It's not a big ask, but make sure you guys go on his YouTube channel. He also has an Instagram, Ryan Bull Belanger. Make sure you guys follow him, subscribe to his YouTube channel. Again, I mean, it's such a small sport. We got to help each other out. So make sure you guys do that. Now, that first training you went to, Ryan, so it was about an hour and a half, North Carolina. So walk me through that. How often did you go train with that group?
We would train every Monday, uh, like what was it, 7 or 8 o'clock p.m. So I would have to, I'd get home from work, head straight there, and then get home, pretty late as well. But yeah, we train once a week, every week.
And then for that first training, that first group is that because I know your team is Carolina Chaos. Is that
Yeah,
original group, or is that first one, was that a different group?
yeah, it's a totally different group.
Okay.
There was only three pullers when I came, and I was the third one. So there were two other guys, and then it ended up being me and the guy Scott I was telling you about for
Yeah.
maybe a year and a half. It was just us two. Um, and then we started, they're actually pretty big now. They're called Port City Pullers. They're out of Wilmington, North Carolina, and they probably have 35, 40 pullers now. But now I travel to Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is upstate South Carolina. I'm on the coast, and it takes me 4 hours to get there, 4 hours to get home. So I do that every Sunday.
So every Sunday you're driving 4 hours just to get to practice, and then 4 hours back.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
man. So anybody that complains about 45 minutes drive, I mean, in Arizona, I mean, we have it pretty good here. I mean, we have so many pullers where it's 15 minutes to 30-minute drive. Anywhere you got Eric Wolf, you got Miguel Ortega group. I mean, you got John Brezink, who sometimes comes out. We have so many groups. I think sometimes we're a little bit spoiled. So that's a great reminder, for us local Arizona guys, that 45 minutes, that's nothing, man. So 4 hours. So now with that original group, when you drove there hour and a half, because that first couple years, of course, is crucial. So how did you kind of how were those practices structured? Was it just going in there and 100% pulling, or is it more focused on techniques? Was there a veteran that kind of mentors coaches? So how did that structure look like?
yeah. So locally around here, the guy Scott, we call him the Wizard, right? So he's not like the strongest guy, but technically he's very, very good.
Yeah.
So he would tell me how to beat the specific, top roll that he was using, and we'd work on how I could get to my power, attacking that specific move. And then it may take me 2, 3 weeks, and I finally figure it out, and then I could get him in the hook, pin him, and then he would throw something else at me. You know what I mean? Different type of top roll, or different type of, just even switching, raising the height of your hand down. Like he would go through all that stuff with me. He's like, he just moving your hand up just a little bit, and then maybe clamping the back of the hand hard on the go. I mean, he was just very, very smart. Um, and at that time, I didn't know absolutely anything.
Yeah.
So, and he's actually he lives in Spartanburg now, so he's up in Spartanburg too, helping up there.
Nice. How long has that guy been arm wrestling?
Well, he was 10 years in when I went, so I guess that would be about 17 years.
17 years. Okay. So
Yeah,
so you guys already had a veteran in there to show you. I mean, that's
yeah,
great. And then when you trained with him, because 7 years and you're already elite. I mean, do you maybe you don't remember like some of your numbers from when you started, but do you by chance, because we all get excited and we start to train with the arm wrestling specifics, do you kind of remember by chance like what was some of your numbers on back pressure, fingers, cupping, side pressure, kind of that first year? What was kind of like that starting base?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I have no clue about side pressure because this past 6 months, 8 months, maybe 10 months
Hmm.
is the first I've ever trained it.
Really?
But I just naturally had it. You know what I mean? So like I think the first time I did side pressure, I did like 120 or whatever, like like it was nothing. Not like it was nothing, but as like a one
Right.
rep
Yeah.
max.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Um, and yeah, like 7 years ago, I didn't know really, much about like rising, so I didn't do much rising stuff. I mean, I did like hammer curls. Um, I would do pull ups with like towel and
Okay.
stuff. But I didn't specifically use like the judo belt and straight over the knuckle, like work on the riser.
Oh, the
Um,
specifics for it. Okay.
yeah, and even I didn't do none of the one rep max stuff back then. And that's I would say the past year and a half has been when I started doing the one rep max stuff because when you're new, like you stay sore a
Right.
lot. Like my inner elbow would always hurt, so I found myself doing a lot of volume training over lifting anything heavy. Now, if I felt good, I would lift, heavy, but I wasn't keeping track. I wasn't doing like I did with powerlifting. You know what I mean? I was
Got it.
still kind of learning. Yeah,
So after those practices, it basically like it took you sounds like 2 3 years, maybe 4 years to develop the elbow strength to be able to even do proper training. So for that first 3 4 years, so it sounds like you were just doing band work, a volume work, just to recover for the following Mondays. What it sounds like, right?
exactly. And I
Okay.
and I tell everybody that asks, on Facebook, newer guys that ask about training, and I'll tell them, look, I mean, first couple 2 3 years, I mean, I think you should focus on volume, build up them, the tendon and ligaments, because that's what they need, is the volume and get that blood in there because it's hard for them to get blood
Yeah.
and grow. But I think if anybody training, just starting out training, I would focus on, if you're practicing once a week, I would focus on volume training. Uh, if you're feeling good one day, I mean, if you want to go over there and do a 100-pound hammer curl, then I mean, by all means, but I would focus your training on volume. Just
Got
my opinion, but
Yeah. So tips for new hire for new people, a lot of volume. Make sure you go at least once a week to a practice. Are you guys? And again, this is just that first 3 4 years. Were you guys just sounds like you were going 100% in practice, or was it more? How long were the practices? 2 3 hours or longer?
yeah, it would be well if it like I said at one point it was just me and him, so we could hour and a half, and we get enough work in. But for me, yeah, it was probably that was my one rep or my max effort day was on the table, because he could kind of hold me and I'm like, just trying to pin over
Yeah.
and over and over, but I mean it builds it up, man. It's just that's why it's always good to have somebody at your practice that is stronger than you.
Yeah.
So you can get that little red line in there and not be able just to hold everybody. Creates bad habits, dude.
Yeah, so I think key part you just said right there. So super important. And I've heard veterans say the same thing. Back in the day, we got a ton of people that have been arm wrestling here for 10 plus years, and sometimes I think newer people hate it when the veterans will kind of just hold them, in certain spots. But like you said, that's the key because it's building that. Your strength is building, staying in those moves for longer versus you practicing with someone that's weaker and just throwing them around, giving them those micro tears. So, your belief is training with a veteran that's stronger than you and staying in positions to build the strength.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Yeah, I mean, I have, I have some people reach out to me too, um, and they're like, man, I'm like one of the weaker guys at practice, and it sucks, and I'm like, dude, that's a blessing. Like you can go max effort and you're just building, building, building. You know what I mean? Like I tell them just enjoy it, because when
Yeah.
you're the strongest guy at practice, you're not necessarily getting to work like that.
Got it. And then we got a question here for Paul Brick. He said one practice a week. So then, how many lifting sessions a week are you doing?
5.
Five. Okay. So you're up to five now. So after that three,
Yeah.
4 years, you felt that elbows, everything was there. You were recovering good. When was that? Did that happen within the last year or two? Or I think you said something earlier, like 8 months ago, you started to train with kind of more max effort throughout the week. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So, and I say max effort, but if you think of like West Side Barbell, or you could call it like Todd Hutchins style
Yeah.
training,
Conjugate.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would always do my heavy lifting, before this and after that 3 or 4 years, the year and a half in between. I'll do the 5x5s, or I would do the 10 sets of three, or I would do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now but, and then I would just do that with like basic lifts. But now it's a lot more arm wrestling specific conjugate method training. So, I'll still do like if I do bicep curls, kind of hard to explain. You have like a wave, call it like a 5 week wave. So you do 3 weeks of heavy, and then you have like 1 week where you kind of
Like
taper down a little bit.
load week.
Then yeah, it's almost like a deload week, and then but everything's still kind of moving up, right? So when you restart your heavy, it's going to be a little more than the week before. So whether it be 2.5 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever you can do. And then your deload week is going to be, or your deload 2 weeks is going to be even heavier than the first deload week.
Got it. So
So
it's
it's like
three
it's like
weeks.
stairs.
Okay, so I see. So 3 weeks heavy, and then kind of a resting deload, more volume,
Yeah,
less weight, and then you're kind of basically letting everything recover, and then
yeah.
going again. Did you say another 2 weeks, or is it 3 weeks again?
It'll be another 3 weeks.
Another 3 weeks, and then you're adding same exercises, but you're adding 2 to 3, hopefully 5 pounds on each one, and then repeating it again.
Right. And then your deload week, you got to write it all down. So
Right.
whatever your deload week was on the first your first deload week is going to be heavier, right? So you don't want to do the same weight you did on the first deload week. You
Right.
want to increase the
Oh, I
weight,
see. And then
but
you're
get the same but
okay.
get the same amount of reps. So if you're doing 15 and you did 70 pounds, like you want to get 75 for 15 the next deload week, and then the following deload week you're going to want to get 80, or whatever the number ends up, whatever you can get, but you want to get more weight, same amount of reps on your deload weeks, and obviously you want to get more on your heavy weeks. You want to keep hitting your PRs.
So for that 3 weeks, because this is the stuff that everybody is super interested in, and I know sometimes elite people kind of don't want to share this information. So really appreciate you sharing your information. I know sometimes people keep that a secret. So that three
Well,
weeks of
here's
yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but it's I don't think anything should be a secret. I mean,
Yeah,
the only thing, like, you could put the information out there, but are people going to do it?
exactly.
You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they got to put the effort in to
Right.
do it, right?
Right. That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
That's so funny. So that the 3 weeks of heavy. So kind of break that down a little bit. So for each lift, are you doing? So for example, let's say it's with the wrist max. Let's say you're working on your fingers. Are you doing more of like variation of more of holds, or is it a combination of reps? So kind of what are you doing in that heavy week?
So you can do the same lifts for the same heavy lifts or the same lifts for volume and that, but you just have to change up the variation a little bit. Which I mean, if you're coming from a high pulley, like a high pulley and pulling straight down, like if you want to do it the following week, like you don't do the same exact thing. You might lower the pulley almost in front of you, right? And then you're doing it this way. But um,
Got it. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that
yeah,
variation, so your body
it's
doesn't
just
get
it's
used
so
to.
much information.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And
Yeah.
then, so for example, let's say you're doing the high pulley because I've seen your training. So if you're doing the high pulley, how many sets and reps are you doing before, and then are you finishing with the one max rep, or is it more that 3 by 3, 5 by 5 training?
So one of the weeks will be a one rep max. So obviously, it usually ends up for me being about 8 or 9 sets
Okay,
before I get the one rep max. Because if you're going heavy, obviously you want to warm up real good. And but some weeks it might be 10 by 3, right? Might do 10 sets of 3 or 5 sets of 5.
so you're
So
mixing
it
it up.
all,
Yeah.
it all depends. Um, my strength coach is Matt Harris. I don't know if you ever heard of Matt Harris,
No.
but he's out of Spartanburg. He was the first one to beat Cobra Rhodes when Cobra Rhodes was undefeated for like 8 years
Wow.
in Cobra Rhodes
Yeah.
prime. But he's got ones on Craig Toulier, like all that, all of them. He was very good.
So you do use a coach. So is your programming, it's developed by the coach, and he kind of gives you the the workouts, or do you kind of already know exactly what you're doing, and he's just kind of giving, kind of guiding you?
Yeah, we'll discuss certain things, and then he'll just be like, you do this for this upcoming, but it could be whatever variation of the lift you want. But like unlike like Todd Hutchins is I think he's maxing out like 10 lifts or something. 12, I think it's 10 or 12 lifts for a 12-week thing program. I'm not maxing that many out, but I'm not going to reach a same lift for probably a year. So if I max out on one variation of a lift, I won't max out on that again for a year.
Got it.
So it's mine's I'm not specifically training for one person. I'm just specifically training to get stronger. So you know what I mean? So I'm not doing like a
I do.
kind of a 12-week thing. This is consistent training that just is ongoing.
Got it. And you said you're training 5 times a week, and you're still doing the
Mhm.
once a week training, and that does not change if you're prepping for a tournament, match, anything. It just stays the same, right?
Right.
Okay, got it. And then before a match or a tournament, are you doing, the 2 weeks off where no arm wrestling practice, or are you still doing exactly the same and then maybe taking 3, 4, 5 days off of doing nothing? Like, how is your prep for a match?
So if a match is coming, I always said there's the 3 weeks, then the 2 weeks. Like we'll adjust that if it doesn't perfectly line up. Like with Alan Ford, it perfectly lined up because we only had, I think, I had like 5 weeks notice.
Yeah,
So
short.
I had my 3 weeks of heavy, and then I had my deload, and then I pulled. You know what I mean? So it
Okay.
worked out. It worked out pretty good like that. Um, but table time, if you're feeling real beat up, elbows, shoulder, all that, then I mean, I've taken 3 weeks off of the table time before. So most of the time it's 2 weeks, but
Got it.
I'll lift, but I will. So I lifted, I flew out Wednesday and I lifted Wednesday morning, and that was the last. So I didn't lift Thursday, Friday, and I pulled Saturday. Now, when I say lift, it's not, it's just volume, getting blood in
Volume to
there.
get the blood in there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So before a match, you're typically trying to program it where you're hitting that 2 week deload. So it's about 2 week deload,
Right.
what you're doing. Okay, and
Right.
then in your deload, is it still the same? It's 5 days a week, just more of the volume. Is it more like 8 to 15 reps, or is it more of like 15 to 30 reps uh, per vector or per training that you're doing?
I usually stay 12 to about 12 to 20,
Okay.
somewhere in there, and it depends on which lift it is. But no, well, yeah, sometimes yeah, sometimes I'll get up in the 30 or 40 range as well. You know what I mean? It, that kind of all depends too. Uh, but I wanted to throw in there too on the deload week. The first week, I always call it bodybuilding week because it's kind of
Right.
like you know. So that's your lowest weight week. So week two on your deload, you're increasing off of that. So when I went to arm wrestle, that was my heavy week. So your body's already kind of used to doing
So
that
it's
deload.
adjusted. It knows. It knows you're gonna
Right. So
go
you
heavy.
know,
It's programmed to
yeah.
fire up. I
So your
see.
body's ready for that heavy week coming up. You know what I mean? And then it
Yeah,
starts on obviously that Saturday.
that makes sense. So with the 5 days of training arm wrestling specifics, and then you got the 1 week table time, do you still do the bodybuilding, like bench press, back, shoulders? Are you mixing that in, or is that on off days, or do you just never train bodybuilding specifics?
Yeah. Now I'll do like bent over rows, for your back. And as far as bench, I only like to do incline dumbbell bench.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the most beneficial. Um, now I do if I'm in a if I'm in a certain mood, I might do flat back bench, but that's more like a tricep push to me because I get my left shoulder is kind of messed up, so I got to tuck my elbows way in order not to um, hurt my shoulder. So I like the dumbbell bench. I like the uh, pec deck. You ever use the pec deck?
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Because
yeah,
you're
that thing's
developing
great.
this right here
Right,
for the for staying inside. That makes sense.
right.
Makes
And I
sense.
mean, I'll do dips, pull ups, stuff like that, obviously. But yeah, as far as like a deadlift, structured bench press stuff, yeah, no, I don't do that.
Okay. That so you're completely targeted, focused on exactly where you want to get strong. That makes sense. Have you had any over your 7 years? Have you had any like I wouldn't even say serious injury because we're getting injured all the time. But have you had any injuries where maybe you have to take time off, or you didn't take time off? Like, have you had anything with the elbow, wrist, fingers, any of that?
No,
Wow.
uh, no. Aside from like the normal, actually, so I haven't pulled left-handed since like December because I had a partially torn short head of the bicep,
Hmm.
and I've been rehabbing it and stuff, and it's still still feels off, like it gets cramped up. Like if I try to do two hand pull ups, like it just feels. So I haven't pulled with that. But I mean, that's probably the worst kind of injury that I had. But other than the inner elbow stuff and all that other stuff, stuff we deal with, I haven't really had to miss any pulling time
Got it.
because
So
of
even when
anything.
you're, so even when you have, I don't know if you have it anymore, but like the ulnar nerve pain and things like that. So you're still going to practice with that pain and maybe just adjusting the 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 strength that you're going, or nothing changes.
Yeah, no, I'll do whatever don't if whatever doesn't aggravate it.
Okay,
So if hooking or down pressure or something is aggravating it, then I'll top roll all practice
got it. Okay.
or vice versa. You know.
Okay. So you're not, if you're feeling pain, obviously you're staying away from that move, and then you're only go, and then whatever how long it takes to kind of rehab it. Then when you're feeling 100%, then you're going back to that move.
Right, right.
Okay.
We, I mean, even if it's 80%, I'm cool with doing it. I'm just gonna go not gonna go crazy as far as like holding anybody. Like if I'm really struggling to hold somebody, I just let it go. If I, just not to aggravate it. But I think if you could get in there with somebody that's you're just way stronger than, and maybe just put a little pressure on it and get a little blood in there, I
Yeah.
think that would be beneficial too
Okay.
if
That
it's
makes
hurting.
sense. And then for your specific training, because you're a specialized puller, hook, and basically all inside, which and then you're also, you said you're top rolling as well over the last 8 months. Like part of your program for the 5 days, like which lifts are you doing? How many of them? And and which handles are you using?
So I use uh I'll just tell you all the handles out. Well,
Yeah.
I like the wrist wrench is probably my favorite for
Okay.
cupping. And I like the what is it, the multi spinner.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You ever use the multi spinner?
I have. Yep.
Yeah, like you can put your hand in and just wrap that thing
Yep.
high and like the stability in your wrist, man. Like
Yeah.
you could pull like 35 pounds and it'll feel like a
So
truck.
you're
You know what
using
I mean?
both that low high kind of wrap, or are you more focused on the bottom two fingers?
I'll do three. I'll do a low wrap, I'll do a high wrap, and I'll do one kind of right in the middle.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's okay. Got it.
I
What?
got the ar- I got the arm handles. I don't like them, the ones that are like hands.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah. I
ever
don't like
see?
those either. Where you're putting your finger.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Nah, I don't like them. But I do I like straps, even just a regular arm wrestling strap and doing pronation through the thumb. I like you doing that. I like the belt too, judo belt. So I don't use a ton of handles, but I like the belts and that type stuff. When I do pull ups, I got rolling handles. So when you pulling up, it's trying to roll you out.
Got it. So okay, so you're more focused on kind of the hand fingertips training, and then you're also doing the side pressure, which is kind of more of like the internal rotation where it's coming from this way. How often do you train like the? Because I know internal rotation side pressure can take a little bit longer to recover. I mean, is that still once a week, twice a week, or how often are you hitting to make this stronger?
Yeah, the internal or yeah. So straight side pressure um is every week, but it's some sort of variation. Sometimes it's directly to the side and it's straight side pressure. Sometimes there's a little 30-degree angle on it where you're having to like pull. So it's never like like I said, it's never the same exact lift. Like I won't find out what my max side pressure is with the regular handle high position for 11 months from now.
Got it.
You know,
What's your number on some of your lifts? So like on the Todd, and what Toddzilla does the wrist wrench through the side. What's your number on that?
that's in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, so you don't know
I,
yet.
I'm doing a
What was it
wrist wrench in
before?
2 weeks.
What was it
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
What number are you trying to beat?
With the wrist wrench,
Yeah.
I don't want to lie. I don't have I my books are in the
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah. I want to say it was 120ish maybe with the wrist
Okay.
wrench.
The wrist wrench.
It's a
Okay,
lot. Yeah, it's quite a bit harder than like a regular handle. But
got it. Because then with is it so the 160 is that with just a judo belt just going straight side, or is it more pulling towards you?
that was straight sideways with a regular like 1 inch handle. So it's probably the easiest handle to max with,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you wrapping it, or is it's not wrapped and just
Yeah, it's not wrapped, it's just
okay?
hold on and straight side. Yeah.
Nice. So you're also so even on that movement, you're trying to max that out, or are you doing more of the 3x3, 5x5 on that one?
Yeah, so since I maxed that one out, I will do some volume with it. Um I won't try to max it again for for a while, but I will do volume with that specific one, and I'll add weight every time I do volume with it. I'll look back and see what I did 15 reps with, and I'll add weight, make it heavier.
Got it. So you're
So
writing every single thing down, and you're
yes,
always trying to beat it, trying to. So over the last 7 years, you have a book of just all your numbers. You try to structure it like that, where am I improving? I'm improving based on. Do you measure it? So, for example, I did an interview similar to this with Plamen Dimitrov, who's been arm wrestling. I think he said 17 years, and I asked him, I'm like, how do you know, what's your best shape? Is it based on your arm wrestling specific lifts, or is it shape on the table? And he said he doesn't believe that it's the weights. He believes it's more of how he feels, and he'll train table time every single day. But I know the Bulgarian style is a little bit extreme. What do you think? I mean, what's your opinion on kind of Bulgarian style? I mean, the extreme one with Crossy is 3 times a day pulling, but they're pulling. He said 25% in the morning, 50% at 12 o'clock, and then kind of 70-80% at night. And they're doing that daily. Obviously, we have jobs, so we can't really do
right.
that. But what do you think? Is it just they're just one in a million that they can go through that, or what are your thoughts on it?
If I had the accessibility, I would do it
Okay.
because I think the human body is an amazing thing, man,
Yeah.
and it will there will be a time where you're probably regressing if you start pulling that much, but then there's going to be a time where your body starts catching up, and then you're gonna elevate. I
Got it.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if they say don't lift, you can't lift biceps every day, like bicep lift. You know what I mean? Because your biceps won't grow. But if you look at them gymnasts that do the rings,
Right. Yeah.
and they do that all day, every day. And look at their biceps.
Yeah.
Their biceps are huge. I
Yeah.
think your body will adapt.
Yeah.
Again, you'll feel like crap for a couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks, 10 days. I don't know how long it takes to adjust, but you eventually will, and then I think you'd be better for it.
That makes sense. Now,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about so the team you have now. So Carolina Chaos. How long is your drive there? How long have you got guys? Because it's so it's Adam Warzinski in there. Who else is in that group?
Adam Warzinski, Hunter Knobs. I don't know if you know, we got Dylan Bibb, Joe Rogers, Matt Harris, Sean Gillespie, Amanda Marshall is our only female. Uh, Jason, and yeah, there's like 11 people on the team, but we kind of have a little open practice there in Spartanburg, so we usually get around 25, 30 guys in there.
25, 30 guys. So that's at every week. What is it? Still Monday, or you're doing it Saturdays,
Sunday,
Sunday? Okay.
Sunday,
And
yeah.
yeah, and then how do you guys structure your practices? I mean, obviously you go and you already know what to do, but is there structure where it's okay for the first hour we're working this spot, or we're working defensive or offensive hook, and then top roll, or is it more of how you feel and your training partner? Is there any structure to it?
Yeah, I mean, so just say like Adam Warzinski had a match coming up, but the priority would be on Adam. So however the opponent pulls, we try to mimic it the best we could, and he's going to go through hell. He's not going to come off the table, and we're going to kill him.
Oh, so
You
you
know,
guys are going
respect.
100% at him
Yeah,
until he's completely tired.
right. And then we'll, who like it's whoever is the priority. If Amanda has an event coming up, uh, and she's the only one with an event coming up, then we take priority with her. You know what I mean? Or anybody.
Yeah.
It all depends. But yeah, I mean, we're always training super hard. Sometimes we'll do 5 tables. We'll take the 5 strongest guys, and everybody will line up, and then just keep going for an hour. That the 5 guys don't come off the table. We might do king of the table. One guy stays on the whole time, has to run through it 10 times. You know what I mean? Or sometimes we'll just go in and have like a regular practice. But most, we do ready every week is a tournament. It's already goes.
He ready goes all the time then.
It's already goes. We got a ref and a down ref. This guy's on the team. It's not real refs, but
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So I mean that philosophy. So that's very very interesting because in Arizona we do it a little bit differently. It's more of kind of more slow pooling and things like that. It's still 2-3 hours, but I've heard even in Michael Todd too in his training camp he's going 100% all the time with his partner. So that philosophy that makes perfect sense because I know sometimes the guys that are doing a lot of slow pulling, their feedback a lot is, I wasn't ready for that match, I wasn't ready for that tournament. Is your mindset is more of the slow pulling versus just the speed? Do you think that's what it is? Is you guys are constantly, going 100%? You're doing ready go, so you're more conditioned for the match that's gonna come.
yeah, I think it definitely is. If you're used to hearing the ready go every time you go up on the table, like you don't even have to think about where you're going. You already have where you're going to go. You're not going to be late on the go. I mean, obviously there's people faster than you out there.
Right.
Well, we saw that the other day, right? Down Ford.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's no joke.
but but yeah, I mean, I think it's very beneficial now. Sometimes we're beat up and we don't necessarily want to do the ready goes because we're just sore. We just want to slow pull and work on some things, and all you got to do is speak up, you know,
Yeah.
and everybody would be cool with it.
Yeah, and I would say
I
that's
think
a
it's important.
yeah, that's a key part you just said right now, is that communication with your partner. I think a lot of people they don't communicate enough on which spots you want to work on, what do you want to do. It's just let's go. So that's a very important key part that I want to make sure everybody heard. So you guys are doing a lot of ready goes now. is that first hour when you guys feel the strongest, or is it the second hour or third hour where you're kind of, your everything is warmed up, you're a little bit more safer?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much the whole practice.
See, so
Well, other
immediately,
than the warm ups, I
okay,
mean, yeah, we will warm up first and just kind of, get the juices flowing, get
yeah,
warmed up real good. But as soon as everybody's warmed up real good, yeah, putting straps on or
yeah.
no straps and ready to go and just boom.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then the straps, no straps. Is there any, kind of structure to that where you're doing 50% with straps, 50% without it, to kind of obviously get better in both, or is it just depends on what your partner wants?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on kind of what your partner wants, but it always seems to be probably 50-50 or close to,
Okay.
because, we want to be able to pull in them and without them, you know. But
That
yeah,
makes
usually about 50-50.
nice, man. That's incredible going that hard all the time, and like you said, it's conditioning to you. You're ready for war at any time. That makes perfect sense to me. Now, kind of that recovery. Are you doing? Because I've heard of some techniques from California, from Canada, where at the end of the training, do you guys do this where you're kind of 20, 30% holding positions for a minute or two to get the blood flow in there to kind of get rid of the lactic acid, kind of holding those spots at the end, or you're just, or there's nothing, there's just you're training, you're done, boom, go home.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the time we're training, we're done, we go home. But sometimes we'll do like the wrist to wrist
Yeah,
without our hands,
yeah,
and we'll do a little bit of that, and we'll actually do like back of hand to back of hand to work like that the rear shoulder.
yeah.
Um,
So you're doing that at
but
the end of
that's about it.
practice to kind of, so at the end of the
So,
practice to,
sometimes,
okay,
yeah, it's not often, but sometimes we do it. I'll say 30% of the time.
okay.
Most of the time we balls to the wall, and then we go home for 3 hours. Then we go home.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you guys? So it's very special. The team that you guys have, hands down. Like Hannah said here, let me kind of put this comment up here because it's important. She said, Hannah Presnell, she said, in my opinion, Carolina Chaos is the best team in the United States. I mean, it's incredible. I know the Armenians in California; those guys are super close. They're training all the
Yeah.
time, and I hear all the time it's Armenians, then Carolina Chaos, or you guys are kind of right there. What would you say makes your team special? Do you guys hang out outside of the training, go hang out with the families, or is it more just you're brothers of war, you're just training together, and that's your ultimate focus?
Yeah, I just want to say hey to Hannah real quick. She's awesome. Her and her husband Brent. I love both of them. She's a great puller. Um, so with us living, so Adam lives on the coast, but 2 hours south of me. So he's about 3 hours of practice. I'm 4 hours of practice. I think Hunter drives an hour. A couple of the other guys drive an hour, hour and a half. So nobody really lives like super close. But we have like a group text and we talk every day, like all day, every day. So we're really close as far as that. And when we go to war every week together, that kind of
Yeah,
does something to you too.
that's
Yeah.
impressive, man. I mean, you guys are you're trying to make each other better every single day. You're constantly training and sharing techniques and different things that you learned with your brother. So
Yeah.
that's very special. That's awesome, man.
Well, if you ever see us as a group at a tournament, we kind of hang out with ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's no disrespect to anybody else. After the tournament, we'll talk to people, but we're there for business, and we're there. We just stick to ourselves, hang out with each other, get each other pumped up. and do our best to win every weight class. And then when we're done, yeah, we'll hang out, talk, chill with everybody else.
Love it. Yeah, you guys are in the attack zone just during the event. You're super focused, and then we can drink beers afterwards. That's love it, man. That's awesome. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and if you see, there's one of us on the table, we're all right here yelling, shouting instructions. Sometimes it's, you know, Chad Silvers is up there, and we just let Chad do his thing because,
Yeah,
he's been doing it since '87. So
right. That's impressive, man. And make sure you guys. I already said it earlier, but make sure you guys check out. So it's Ryan Bull Belanger, his YouTube channel. He's on Instagram. So super important. I mean, this is such a small sport that this is pretty much what the only way we can support each other is doing these small things. So make sure you guys subscribe to him, follow him on Instagram. Do you have do you have anything else, or just Instagram? Is that where they can follow you, YouTube and Instagram?
yeah, YouTube, Instagram, I'm on Facebook. And if you guys have any questions about anything, I answer everybody that messages me. So just feel free. I'm not going to ignore you. I'm super cool, and I'll help you the best I can.
That's awesome. And then so let's kind of get into to the match itself. So I remember watching your match with Coach Ray, and that's when I knew you were elite level. Where I mean, you pretty much just destroyed him in every single round, and he went into his move, and that's your lane too, and he couldn't do anything. So that's when I knew you were definitely there. Was that kind of that moment where you had that match with him, where you knew I'm there, I'm ready for these top 10 guys? Or was it something else where you knew you were ready to challenge the best of the best?
Well, before a match, I'm never sure that I'm supposed to be there.
Okay, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like before I pulled Ray, I was Friday night. I was laying in the bed, started sweating. I'm like, man, I don't even like. What am I doing here? You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's how I am every match. Um, yeah, after I beat him easy like that, there was still he was doing stuff for the show. He wasn't 100% focused. There's always that little stuff that's running through your head too.
yeah,
And then I think really the round robin was the biggest indicator for me. The one you were at
yeah.
when I beat Brent and Dallas and everybody else. That was
That's
that
when
was
you
really
knew.
the yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then your match going into to Alan Ford, and you kind of we were going to talk about the prep for it, but you already said it. So it really doesn't change based on your opponent. You're still doing your training, the 3 weeks heavy, 2 weeks kind of a volume deload, and it just fell in there. So that makes perfect sense. Now going into that match, and and if you guys don't know Alan Ford, so 30 years experience. He comes from Canada. This guy trains with Devin, Matt Mask, super high level. And I knew with him, his strength is his hand, his fingers. I mean, he had a match with RVJ, and it was crazy close. I mean, he might have won that match. It was so close, and RVJ is known for a very strong hand,
Hmm.
and even Allen was able to take him out of it, and RVJ had to be defensive to beat him. So going into that match, did you know that he was going to take your hand, where you had to, be in those spots where you obviously you're prepared for them? You kind of said in the after match that you train those spots all the time where you're without your hand, right?
Yeah, and it's not on purpose, but
Right.
you got an endurance like Adam Rosinski, who's like Devin Larrett like endurance. I mean, yeah, we end up in them positions and then you just pull from them. Um, but no, like, look, man, my hand is super strong.
Yeah.
Uh, and if you watch the first two starts, he started early and I curled him in, and then what did I do? I think I elbow fouled or he elbow fouled, but I actually curled him in and had him like this, and then my hand blew up.
Oh, I
Like
see.
I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, this ain't good. You know what I mean? And my hand never blows up, so I don't know. I, I'm not making excuses, but
No,
that's what
of course.
happened.
Yeah,
Um, and then when I was gripping up with him at the other start of the round one, then he had took the wrist, and then it just was 100% gone at that point. It was really discouraging for that to happen, especially when I rely on my hands so much.
yeah.
And I yeah, it was discouraging, man. I mean, I'm glad of the outcome, but yeah, this never happened to me before. So
What did
I
you
don't know.
feel? What did you feel in the setup with Allen? I mean, did his hand feel strong? Was he loading? What did you feel in those first couple of rounds?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking maybe it blew up because my cup and his pronation were so close
Yeah,
in strength, and it took all. Maybe I matched it
you're right
twice in a
behind
row.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, his pronation's really good and he's fast. And I have short fingers, which don't help either. So I'm
yeah.
maxing
I
to
got the
get
same
that.
problem. It's
Yeah.
terrible, man.
It's like that. It's like the hand's thick, but his fingers are short. It's
Yeah,
like, man. But
that's funny.
but yeah, man, it was. I don't know. I learned a lot from that match. That's for sure.
Yeah. So did you change? Like, I know some people. There's a. I don't know if it's a myth, but some people talk about creatine maybe blowing up the fingers, the hand. Do you believe in that? Where some people, like Levon said, he stops taking creatine like a month before a match. Do you believe in that? Do you think that plays any factor?
Wow. I never really thought about it
Yeah,
because usually when you get blown up, it's like vascular and like blood. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
like
Not the
like
water.
creatine's like water in the
Right.
muscle, not. But now that you say it, I mean, when I cut water weight and do a water cut, in my water jug will be creatine, some sort of salt solution, like an element or liquid IV or something like that. But I've never had an issue. But
Yeah.
I did. I was drinking creatine that day, that morning.
Yeah. Like you said, you had the same routine going into every
Mm.
match, every
Yeah.
so it's not like you changed anything. Okay.
The only thing I can think of, if you overdo the carbs some, you know, like if you water cut from 220 to 209, you really want to be 220 the day of pulling. Like you don't want a lot of extra water and extra carbs in you. At least I don't because it slows me down and it blows me up. So it might have been too many carbs, is what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you're doing an 11-pound water cut. Are you doing the method of that one week where on Sunday you're starting with a gallon, 2 gallons, and then 2 gallons every day, and then you stop Wednesday, Thursday, then it's sauna. Is that what you're doing?
So this prep actually, man, I stayed a little lower. I was like 217, uh, like 217.5 when I started the water cut. And no, I work outside in the heat. So I have to start Saturday with 3 gallons of water.
3 gallons.
Yes. So I'll
Whoa.
drink I'll drink 3 gallons all the way up till Wednesday. So if this
Every
is for
day.
Friday, yeah, this is for Friday morning weigh-in, and then Wednesday I'll do 3.5, and then Thursday I'll do 3.5, and I got to get it in before 9 p.m. And then once 9 p.m. hits, I'm done until 9 a.m. weigh-in. So 12 hours no water.
Got it. So you're not doing one day before the weight cut of no water. You're just drinking
Mm.
throughout.
Yeah, I've tried it the other way, and once it really really slows down, and then I just stop peeing. You know what I mean? So I I found out when I kept waking up while I'm doing this water cut, like
Yeah, it's horrible.
pound
Yeah,
and a half, two
yeah,
pounds lighter every morning. So why wouldn't I just continue to drink? I'm going to be a pound and a half lighter the next day. Why wouldn't I just continue to drink water? You don't want to be dehydrated for long.
yeah. And then
But yeah,
are you cutting carbs and just eating protein meats, or is it you're not worried about the carbs or any of that?
so one reason I was lighter and leaner this time, and this might be it too, is I did carnivore diet for like 10 weeks. So just meat. And I didn't think about it either. After I weighed in, I did what I always do. I did gummy bears, my salt solution. They'll go eat some rice, go eat some pasta, whatever's going to hold that water back. But I had not eaten that stuff for 10 weeks. You know what I mean? Usually it's just for a couple of days I'll cut the
Ground
carbs.
Caesar, yeah,
So that might be the hand pump too.
yeah,
So I never did the carnivore that long going into a water cut.
got it.
So I don't know. That might be it.
You could be. So you lost your hand. What was it? Third round, and then you knew you had first round.
So
Wow,
the first,
you got pumped the
yeah,
first round.
the third pull, he false started. I was out here and I curled him in, and then it was ready to go. I curled him in, and then it was already starting. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Got it. Then
So,
you were worried a little bit. Did your corner? You told your corner. What did your corner say?
well, the funny thing is, he's like, "You need me to rub you down?" So I kind of shook my hand, and I didn't want them to think that my hand was blowing up like that early. So I didn't want to show like Alan that.
Yeah.
It came to light anyway. You know what I mean? Because that blood, it got even worse and worse and worse. So I was trying to show any weakness, like I had my hand was blowing up or nothing. I try not to show it, but
Yeah.
it's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah. And,
I was
and
trying
you
to do like squats and all kinds of stuff to get
yeah.
the blood out.
Uh,
Didn't work.
now pulling in those spots, obviously, you have a lot of experience because I mean that's what you guys do in training. I seen videos of Reg. That's how he trains is without the hand, and he's just holding that spot. Is it in practice? How long are you holding that spot without the hand? Are you mimicking that, or is it just or does it just happen sometimes, or is it your arm is just so conditioned that is just ready for anything?
Yeah, I think the arm's just in such good condition and it is super strong, right? So in practice, I'm obviously not gonna pull from
Yeah, bad
crazy
spot.
position
Yeah,
like I
okay.
was in a match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
I mean that was life or death. I told him in the match. I said you're gonna have to break it,
Yeah,
right? I'm not I'm not gonna do that in practice, but
okay. Yeah,
I just think our methods of training and conditioning and all that is just we're kind of ready for anything.
yeah. Got it. That makes sense, man. It was an incredible match. So talk about. I mean, what's your future plans? Do you have any dates set for the rest of the year, or you're just kind of waiting for a call for the next match?
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for the call, but I think something we kind of have set in stone is we'll be headed out close to you guys, actually past you guys, for the World Series of Arm Wrestling. I think we're gonna go do.
Okay, with Greg Sharp. Yep, in California.
Yeah, people feel some kind of way about him, but I mean, we're just gonna go try to scoop up the money.
Yeah, yeah, he's got some nice payouts over there.
Yeah, and there's Arson and that whole group was there last year. The Armenians. So
Yeah,
I'd love to go over there and pull Arson in the weight class.
nice. So nothing set in stone with East versus West or King of the Table. Nothing yet.
No, nothing yet. I'm hoping I'm hoping I get what I want and get Sasha.
Asho, that's right. Yeah,
That
yeah,
I want to test my hook and I can't. I think Rustam and Todd and I think Paul Lynn now. I mean, they're all kind of I think a little above Sasha, so I'd like to maybe start with Sasha.
Have you ever trained with Paul Lynn or Todd Hutchings and to kind of test your level in the past?
I pulled Todd Hutchins uh, before he pulled Iraqli the first time. They actually came to Georgia. Uh, I don't know if you know Paul Passmore, but
Yeah, I do.
they came to Paul Passmore's house, and a couple of us got invited, and it was John Brzenk, it was Todd Hutchins, Ron Bath, uh, and I got to pull John and Todd there, so I have a pretty good idea how Todd feels. I mean, I know it's practice. Uh,
What did you feel in that practice? I mean, even with practice, you still got good information. I mean, was he going 100%? Were you going 100, or was it more kind of a 50, 60% pull?
yeah, I don't think neither one of us were going 100. I pinned him quite a few times, and he stuck one in the center, and we sat there for probably 20, 25 seconds, and then he pinned me. So I think, I mean, I'd love to pull him in a match. Not, I mean, I would definitely wouldn't be the favorite, but I'll pull anybody. I'll pull anybody. I mean, I don't think I'm far off from him.
Yeah. So when you
You know,
guys, so when you practice with Todd, because he's all side pressure with the pronation back. What did you feel? So 25 seconds in there, were you more offensive hook? What did you? Because it feels like when we're watching Todd, he just he can pull for days in those spots. Like it seems like he doesn't get tired. He's just all pressure. Like what did you feel like? Did you feel like him losing some steam or him getting kind of stronger and you losing the steam?
yeah, I felt like it was kind of equal for the most part, and I had hit sideways and got him outside his shoulder a little bit, and then he hit, and I stopped him, and then I hit again, and then he was able to pin me on like the second hit that he did. So, I mean, yeah, we kind of just stayed pressured up, and we would just give pressure and just we're kind of feeling out different angles. I think
Nice,
both of us were.
nice. So
But it was a great experience.
that's awesome, man. And what about with John Brzenk? What did you feel with him?
Oh man, he was cutting weight. He was cutting weight. He wasn't. He was really depleted,
Okay, yeah,
and I would never. He's great. I'll
yeah.
just leave it there.
Go. Okay.
I, I would never. I would never say anything to. Like I said, he was cutting weight. He wasn't himself. So
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's awesome, man. I mean, you're right there with Todd, and did you say you never pulled with Paul Lynn?
yeah, unfortunately, we've been to the same event twice, and I wasn't after pulling after that match, and that I had, and he came to North Carolina for a practice that I was going to go to, and I had tweaked like something in it was almost like my bicep connection in my shoulder, like 4 days prior, bowling, just messing around, like just bowling, like somebody wanted to go bowling. so I didn't go risk it. You know what I mean? But so other than that, no, I've never pulled them.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So it sounds like you're right there with those guys, and Sasha would be a perfect test to see where you're at. And he's also a hook puller, and I mean, obviously Sasha is a legend. So I mean, that would be an incredible match. So I'm looking forward to that if they do set that up. I'm sure they will. To me, it makes perfect sense on the level. So that's great. Now, I know you're East Coast. It's pretty late over there, Ryan. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview, man. I learned a lot about your history, about your techniques, and how you train. So that's fantastic. So again, thank you for taking the time, and you have a good rest of your night, man.
You too, man. I appreciate you having me on. And anytime you want to do it again, just hit me up.
Absolutely, would love to, man.
All right,
Good
brother.